And today, Juliana's going to talk a little bit about a travel journal and packing up travel journal supply. So a travel journal to me is kind of a combination sketchbook, journal, document of the journey. Is that any different from a sketchbook? I don't know. So the first thing on our list, and I'm going to go through all the supplies, and you guys can read the supply list on the website just in case I forgot any details there. So the first thing on our list for our little travel journal kit is scissors. And you just need a small pair. I've got a lot of little small ones. Sometimes these are too small, except they're good for on the go. This one just gives me a little bit more cutting power. And this is one of the little kits that I was talking about. You can get these at office supply stores, and it's got clips, tiny scissors, a tiny tape, and then there's a tiny stapler in here and little staples. We'll have some hole punches at the Spellbound Studio, so you don't really need those unless you're thinking, oh, I need to attach things along the way. Glue. You can pack a little one, but I don't think it's really worth it. Even if we're cramped for supplies, a big one is going to be best for us, big glue stick. For your travel journal, you're going to want a writing pen. And this little drawer is where I keep all my black pens. And I think of all these things that I've collected, I really never use these. And when I do use them, I don't like them. I think, Sharpies, the bigger ones, and then the skinnier ones are going to be good. I have a friend who loved to work in her travel journal with a brown ultra fine Sharpie. She felt like it gave her pages a vintage look and feel. Lisa and I really love just a regular pen. So big pens you get from the bank. These are great. You can always kind of rely on them. They move across just about any surface without, markers can gum up and get stuck. So these are always good. But whatever your favorite black pen or marker is for writing, that's what you're going to want to bring. A pencil. And of course, I got to have my little pirate pencil. I always have my little sharpener and my favorite little eraser. If you have a pencil with an eraser that works, well, then you don't need an extra eraser. And I don't really erase much anyways, but just in case, I have it. And that's pretty much your basic kit. That's really the bottom line of what you need, and maybe you only need a pen in your book, and that's it. Color. I'm going to show you guys tons of stuff. You're going to get inspired, and then we need to pare down. Right now I'm showing everything. So this is a nice little watercolor set that somebody gave me. It has a pen in here, and I really don't use this that much, but it's really nice. It's good to have. It's small, so it fits. I usually have a small little cup like this just for if I need to mix paint or pouring water in, and then I can just dump it. There are little watercolor sets that come just on a piece of paper, and then you just get that wet and use it. You can buy watercolor sets of watercolor markers, and these are a double tip, big and little. I don't use these that much. I don't know why. They're very nice. You can always buy watercolor crayons. These are some, I don't know what these are called, smooshies. Faber-and-Castell double scoop. I don't really like them. They're too smushy for me. But if you like smushy, like portfolio crayons and stuff like that, then you'll probably like those. And Stabilo also makes these biggies, and you can get the sharpener with it so you can keep them sharpened. Those are nice for colors because then you can just take a watercolor brush and mix those. But my watercolor crayons, I mean, I've had these for probably 20 years, so they're little, but these little ones still work, and that means take up less room in your pack. So that's one way to add color. Another way to add color, is with paint markers. Those are great for on the go, especially if you have a small book. Like I can paint things out with this color. You can get a sky color. Colored pencils are great. I do recommend a good brand like Prismacolor or something else high quality. And you can also get watercolor pencils in colors, different colors that you can try. And, maybe think of your desert palette and the colors that you're going to be choosing. You can also get smaller sizes in some of your acrylic paint sets. Golden makes flat paints in these nice little small containers. I like to have this dark one. I usually like to have kind of a sand color. I usually like a yellow ochre. But usually with the yellow ochre, I have that in my marker, so I'm good to go there. I usually have a sky color, a small white, and I think you can buy these sizes in golden. I don't think that's a tester. This is a Holbein liquid acrylic in another small dark color, so there's some smaller options. These are like, sometimes you can get them as testers when Golden does, they do some of these events and you can pick up these little tester sizes. So I have a few of these in different bright colors. And I also, Liquitex, I also got some testers, so this is a small yellow. You know, a lot of these colors, right, like if you have your little dish here, you can mix them a little bit. I never mix colors. I just buy what the colors that I like. And then hopefully these fit, you know, like in a little plastic baggie, and then I put that in my travel kit. So I'm going to be, all of us are going to be driving, right? Even if you guys come to the airport, you're going to be driving. And we're not taking any big hikes to go out into the field to do an all-day sketching thing. That's not what we're doing. You really aren't going to need that much, but we're talking about everything. Everything we can possibly think of, right? We overwhelm and then we pare down, okay? So those are some color options. And we already talked about gel pens in our studio supplies. You know, gel pens don't work for me. But I do like some paint markers, both for the studio and my sketchbook kit, and those work best for me. I'm very heavy-handed, and I just push so hard. I think that might be why the gel pens don't work for me. I'm just pushing down so hard that they just, I don't know what happens, but they don't work for me. I'll usually have a few small brushes in my kit. And I can always, well, maybe I can't, but, you know, maybe if you guys have tools, we can cut them just to get them to fit in your kit. So something small. You might want a bigger brush. If you have, you know, watercolor crayons or something, you can really get this wet and move that around and make a nice background there. If you're picking stuff up along the way, you're going to want other attachment methods. So I've got some clear tape here. Maybe that's too big. You can get little ones. Like I showed the little kit that had the tape and this. So that's my mini stapler. This is a little stapler, and that one's usually pretty good for me. And I get colored staples, so this one's pink. These are blue. The little red ones fit this little guy. And then it comes with a little, actually I don't know if it does, but I have this to take those staples out if I don't like them. I can bring a few paper clips. And these are really interesting if you can see them. These are actually little wooden weird paper clips. I just found them looking for stuff. You might want some washi tapes for your travel kit. Like this one has compass rose on it for travel and direction. Of course, my pirates. This one is just kind of cool. I like it. This one is sort of postal, so I like that. And this one looks like notebook paper, kind of looks official and officey, so that's going to be cute, I think, for a travel journal. And crayons for rubbings. We'll have some for you guys there because we're going to do a little outing with some rubbings where you just go like that. But if you wanted to do some on the way, if you found some things like, I don't know, manhole covers are sometimes interesting and they have dates on them or the city on them. And I like to buy these big crayons, these kids crayons, for me for drawing, for figure drawing. But these are great for doing transfers. This is actually a colored pencil, and they don't make these anymore. But most of mine are broken, so I can use that to make those kind of rubbings. But you can easily use a pencil. You know, they're pretty easy to do. I always have in my kit, these are a little big, and you'll want to test it with your book. Like this is probably a good size. So if this is my book, one of the things is if I'm outside, it might be windy. So I'm going to clip that, and I'm going to clip that side, and that way I can work without my pages blowing. You know, if I have a bigger book, I might need these bull nose or, you know, biggers like this. So you might want a couple of clips in your kit. I always have some in mine. And I usually have masking tape. We'll see if it fits. I don't know what my kit is yet. So I came across this book. And this was something that we made in my book arts group here. They have meetings once a month and people come in and do different projects. So this guy showed us how to make this book. It was really fun and kind of hard, and then we sewed the covers at the end. And I used some old drawings in it as my pages, so I love this little book. And that's a possibility. That's definitely a possibility. And when I was showing you guys my sketchbooks before and travel journals, I was missing one, and that was really stressful when I'm missing books. This was one I had in Morocco. It probably looks to you guys like it's finished. And then I did some drawings when I got back. So some of it's there, some of it's here, and it's not finished. And as I said before, like, that really bothers me. I might bring this with me. There's definitely, I think I can, like some of these notes that I make, I can go through these, make sure I either looked all this stuff up or I don't need it anymore. And I can cover over that and make new pages to work on. I think there's probably some things in here that I can get rid of. Oh no, that's Morocco. But yeah, we'll see, because it probably looks finished to you, but it's not. And it's a beautiful book with the deckled edge on the papers. And this is a rag and bone book. These are really high quality, beautiful books. I'm going to talk about our collage pack. I know I showed you guys my collage pack in the other video, and that's this one. And that's way too much. We don't need it. But I found this, and my recollection was that it was witch stuff. When I went to do a witch workshop someplace, I put my witch stuff in here and traveled with it. So I decided to go through that and just collect my witch collage stuff. And it was a lot of stuff from Porto when I went to Portugal. In here, it was sort of little travel journal stuff, like scrapbook paper that's maps and stuff, I don't know, notes, edgings, tiny sheets of press-on type. That's really cool. Travel stickers, pretty papers. I think labels are always good to have for travel journals. That's just adds a little element there. And look at these cool. Look at these, are really cool. I just opened them. I'd never even opened them. They've got some months in here. I don't know what all this stuff is. Weird little icons, little clear name stickers. So that's super cool. I have no idea where I got this. It says a traveler's notebook. So the Midori makes those travel books. They're kind of tall and skinny. I don't like the tall. I wish it was shorter. But they have some really great papers that you can find. There was also this tiny little plastic sleeve in here, and I think that that's about the perfect size, you know, or a little envelope like this. I kind of like the clear, and then I can have a tiny collage kit that fits, you know, maybe even a smaller envelope. I like to have labels and different things that look like postage, because we have an idea that I think would be really fun if you guys want to do it, is everywhere you go, maybe stop and pick up a postcard. And then at lunch or breaks, we can write postcards to ourselves, and you guys can put a postage stamp on it and address it. And if we don't have time to mail them there, I'll mail them when I get back from Albuquerque. And so you'll get a set of postcards that's also a travel journal, a journal of the journey. And you can, you know, put those in your book or put those in your travel journal. So I think that's going to be a fun idea that, you know, nobody has to do. Oh, and I guess when I was going to get my passport photo, I had these made there. I think I look horrible, but I was thinking it would be fun to put in my travel journal. And I found these stickers, and I think those would be cool, you know, along the bottom or along the edges of the page, kind of that faux measuring. And it's going to be really cute. So this is my car pack. This basket I think was meant to hang on the wall or something because it's front heavy and it falls over, but in my car it sits in there just perfect. Got a reading book, got a sketchbook, a pen case, another pen case, my wipes, my masks, sunscreen, and another little book, a highlighter, a few pens. I could really put more stuff in here, but what's funny is I never use that. I'm ready if I want to do some sketching, but I don't. That's what I'm hoping with this retreat, is to get started back on my sketching practice. So here I have a few pens. I don't even know if I like any of these pens. Oh, that looks nice. I think this Le Pen, though, I think this is smushy. Like if I get it wet, it'll move. Regular pen, and of course my little clips. I've got, like, my black pen bag is my little Pirates of the Caribbean bag. And this, I love my pink boxes. I have Tombows, I think, are fun markers because they've got this big brush top and then a pointy end. And I try to have in here the colors that I think are like natural. So I've got some blues, some greens, a little red. I've got some crayons in here. I've got my water brush in here, terracotta colors. And I think this was a set, this Faber-Castell set of brownish markers in different nibs. So I would have different nibs for it. And because I mainly like their markers in the brush. That's mainly what I use. What do I got? Pencils. So that's, a tiny eraser, tinier. A little bit of yellow in this pencil. I don't have a sharpener in here, and I should. That's the car pack, and that would essentially be for me also maybe that would fit in my backpack, and I could kind of go walking around with it. This sketchbook is, I forget what it's called, a handbook or something, and I like it in my little square, so I thought I would like it in this one, and I don't. What I do like about these is the strap that keeps it closed. On the back I have my clip in case I need it. In the back they have this little plastic sleeve, so I've got like leaves, I've got things in here. And this book, this is what I had been working in, and working in here. Like this was actually out at Abiquiu, Lake Abiquiu, and that's the Petronel. That's really famous to Georgia O'Keeffe. She painted that a lot. So it's definitely not finished. I don't like this book yet. And it always happens, like I'm working and I'm like, that's a bad drawing. That's a bad drawing. That's a bad drawing. So it's like I'm filling this book with all these little bad drawings. And it's not till I go back in here that I keep working it and working it that I'll start loving it. Like this is relatively getting filled. There was a lot of stuff underneath here. I recently did that drawing. This was here before. This was from my trip to Las Cruces, New Mexico, along the Camino Real. This feels good to me. I like these 2 pages. And a lot of times by accident, because I don't do a cover, I do my drawings upside down. Here's Window Rock. I don't like that it's upside down. And sometimes I paint out things. Sometimes I tape over things, and then I'll paint back over that so that I can do more drawings. And I just keep layering and layering. And even though this is a little bit weird, these dogs, whatever this building is, collage, and this pink, I almost kind of like this page just like that. This one, I guess it's done, but I don't really like it. And what I don't like about this book is when I want to do a long drawing, now my book is sideways. So I like the landscape book because then these would be next to each other, but then it's also kind of long to work on. So it's hard to, I don't know, I got to figure it out because I'm not figured out yet. I also have this book. This one usually is in my purse, and I just had, this is sort of a thicker paper that had a print on it of something that I had made. Didn't finish it. So then I cut it down. These were also, let's see in the back, you can, so it was just these. They were black and white, Xerox paper, black and white on Xerox paper, black and white. I started adding more, adding more. That's just from the print there. It was just like that. So I'm working back and forth, and then I just cut them and I sewed it, you know, just a simple pamphlet stitch. Where's the middle? Yeah, I just sewed it. And I do drawings a little bit, but what I like about this book is it's got this background. When I draw on top, it looks like I've done a lot more than I actually did. And I glued that in. This was the print, and then this was a drawing, adding other things to it. This was part of the print, and then I drew some little horse eating, the drawing, some just quick sketch of this acequia going through here, collage stuff. I tried to draw this animal, some folks, and then this was already here. Doodle, like if I'm at a lecture or something, I'm often doodling. This was fun. I did this on top of this black in that white Posca marker. You'll see this here. This is choya, and this is when it's all dried up. It's like a skeleton, and then they call it the devil's walking stick because you can break it off and do things with it. So this is, when you see it, it'll be green and prickly, but when it's dead, it's brown, and then all these are holes in it. So it has all these holes in it. It's really cool. This is a fun little sketchbook, and it's thin and it's easy. That might be something I bring. Maybe I'll make another one to take with me, or maybe I'll finish this one there. And then I found this little book that I got. It says Captain's Log, and it's so cute. It's just a little notebook, and then each one, start date, location, and you can do this in your book. And then it has a few notes about what it is, supplemental, cut out things. I can make little sketches and make little notes. This is not too small for a travel journal. I'll also have my peg letters, and my peg letters will fit in whatever my carry-on is, whatever my travel journal bag is. And then I have some little mini versions of StazOn, and this is a little Marvy. Like I said, StazOn doesn't make a good red. This is a nice red, but it's a dark red, and this is more like red. So I would have these all rubber banded, and they'll go in my pack. And I'll probably have a few of my favorite rubber stamps. Like, I gotta have my Skull and Crossbones, and I really love my Compass Roses, and I have quite a few of these. I think that postage rubber stamps are really fun. Like this has like a postmark cancellation on it. Especially if you guys want to decorate your postcards, you can add those to it. This is a mini Compass Rose, so that's kind of a fun little guy that would fit in a travel thing. And someone gave me this. This is so fun. So it looks like a postage stamp, but in the center you can cut out and make your own image. So this is really cool. I love this. Yeah, some of these little guys I'll probably just bring because they give kind of an official look. I like official manuscripts and documents, my skulls. This sort of seems like this is going to be a good, on my travel journal, I might just stick that down there. That's going to be cool. So that's a nice little trim thing. I usually have a couple of my favorite rubber stamps in my kit in case I need them. I found this, just kind of an old school fanny pack. So if my, journal fits in here, maybe some pens go in here, these go in here, maybe my tape and my this, or maybe not that, maybe this. So depending on what your container is, will decide how much stuff you can bring. And like that with a pen is probably good enough for when we do our little outings, because our outings are going to be really short. They're not going to be a big deal or long. But even this, like if you're stopping along the road for lunch, you've just got your stuff with you. This is also a good little bag, and the shoulders the strap is long enough that I can put it crossbody over my shoulder. I also have this, whatever, you know, backpack, but I think a backpack is really going to be too big. One of the reasons I like the idea of the backpack is that I have some shoulder problems, my back hurts, so you know, something that like with these straps that rests comfortably over my shoulder is going to be better for me. So there's a possibility of taking this, since I know that, and adding some cush to the top here. And I also have to make sure that everything I have is not too heavy. I think what's going to help decide is, you know, picking your book. First and foremost, I'm saying this sketchbook, so it's confusing, I know. The sketchbook, the travel journal, it's going to make more sense as we go along. You guys will have some homework and you'll be thinking like, well, where does this homework go? And there's going to be a couple separate homeworks. Like one is going to be setting up your travel journal. And, you know, just some ways of decorating your page, like adding maps and things before you go. It's definitely going to be my writing journal that I might add some images to so that as I write in it, it feels like something magical and enchanted. Maybe it fits in here. I don't know. It kind of does. Maybe it does. We'll see what happens. I do kind of like this. I think in this book, because there's so many pages, it could possibly be the sketchbook travel journal and a writing journal. So I'll have to think about that. And we saw this. We love this. This whole big kit thing. Maybe that's too much for me on this strip. This maybe doesn't have enough pages. This is brand new. I could start this. And I do think that this one feels like it could be both a writing journal and a sketchbook travel journal. I'm sort of leaning towards these 2, 3, 4 books here. Oh yeah, I forgot about this little guy. I was thinking about him, but I think I've already given up. I think I'm leaning towards these. Another thing, I always need my wipes. So when I travel, I'll take a few out, and I don't leave them too long. You know, a week or two is good, but they'll dry up even in here. And I do them each separately because otherwise I have to pull out the whole thing, take it out, and put it back in. So I just take a bunch, maybe 5, and fold them up. And then I have my little to-go pack. I mean, that would fit in here. I don't know, that kind of seems good. So your task now is to, you know, start collecting your supplies. You guys will have some practice assignments so that you can get in the habit of working in your book. You'll know by going. So it's only until you start working in your book that you'll think, that's way too small. That's way too big. What was I thinking? I can't handle it. Remember, smaller for us is going to be better. Less is going to be more. We have so much stuff at the studio. Don't get worked up about all these different things that you need to bring. Lisa and I will keep talking about it. We'll keep posting videos. We'll keep posting stuff on our Facebook group, and everybody will get a handle. The main thing is trust and have faith that it's just going to come to you. I pulled out 1 million books here, and then from those I had these 3, and then from these I'll pick 2 or maybe just 1. So you'll know, you start with everything and then pare down and pare down and pare down, and know that the right book will find you, the right bag to carry your stuff in will find you, and all the right supplies for your mini travel kit. And I have a Pinterest page. I'll put the link in the description of the video. I love sketchbooks and visual journals, and I'm always collecting the way that other people do it. I always think everyone's so good and I suck. So you'll be able to see how other people do it, how they pack it up. People do it way better than me. And a little bit later, because we actually know one of those masters, and that is Lisa Cheney, and she's an amazing travel journal sketchbook artist. This is just a beginning. We're thinking about it now. We're letting inspiration come to us, and as it gets closer and we're really starting to get our stuff together, Lisa and I will get clearer and clearer and clearer with you guys as we start out. Okay, here's everything. So start thinking about your supplies, journal mobile unit, or your JMU. That's how you're going to pack it up. Any of your favorite favorite supplies that you want to bring. Make sure to include those. Be thinking about it. I know all of this sounds like a lot, but you can see we talked about all that, and then I just put a few things in here, and I feel like I'm good to go. And it's a great idea for you guys to share with each other what book you're thinking of working in, how your JMU, how you're thinking of packing it up. You guys will have way better ideas than I do, and you can share it with each other, and we'll get ideas from each other. So as you're thinking about it, you don't have to commit to anything. Just get started like, oh, I'm thinking of this book, or I'm thinking of this book and this bag. So let's start sharing with each other. It's Juliana out in the field, signing off.